The strongest sorcerer of today and the strongest sorcerer in history, Raymond Sukuna and Satoru Gojo, team up against the greatest shinobi to have ever lived upon Naruto's world, Madara Uchiha. Now, Jujutsu Kaisen versus Naruto topics have been popping as of lately, so now I'm seeing if these legends can put the other into the ground again. And again, thank you again, George, for the donation. Sukuna just has 15 fingers to be able to launch a massive fireball with his cursed technique Fuga, which vaporizes a massive portion of Shibuya, with the actual feat being calculated upwards of small city level. But with the inclusions of the anime showing of this feat, it's calculated upwards of mountain level. Due to us being able to see more of the actual destruction the fireball cause and more of the intensity of it, this level of power isn't too inconsistent for said level of Sukuna, as you have the likes of Dagon and Jogo being able to create mountains to even islands in their domain expansions, which domains are just the constructions of one's own cursed energy, which means they scale to it innately to a degree. So saying a super casual Sukuna who is drastically above these characters and their strongest attacks, even when supplemented by the fact that it's being stated to be useless if they try to use it on them, it is inconsistent. With 20 fingers Sukuna just being directly equal to Gojo. Gojo is someone who's not only able to instantly overpower the likes of Jogo's domain, but can repeatedly spam his own domain expansion when use high taxing moves afterwards, showing that he would easily scale to the likes of Jogo's domain expansion in magnitudes over, which creates a massive mountain structure potentially made of iron, as well as the heat it emits, it being calculated of essentially island level. Gojo and by proxy Sukuna would scale to this. This island level can be consistent as a super casual Gojo just from causing an earthquake from just being released from the prison realm is being calculated essentially at those island levels in the territories as well, which is where I think Sukuna consistently scales as an island buster. But Sukuna does have a higher end, which does involve Yuki's black hole, as it was just stated that it would have had the power to destroy the world if not for the intervention of both her and Tengen, with Kenjaku taking it via using his body as a domain and using his anti-gravity technique to counteract it. This shows he not only has the durability to tank it, but also the cursed energy to counteract this planetary levels of attacks. In conjunction with the back of every Jujutsu Kaisen volumes, be stated that Sukuna has the power to, quote, destroy the world as we know it, making the aforementioned scaling more consistent. So making it consistent that Sukuna has those island levels of power with the potential of him being planetary as at most highest in AP. The 15 finger Sukuna is shown to be equal to a true self Maki in speed, which she would be beyond the Mach 3 cap of most of the verse scales beneath. As when Maki became her true self, she was stated to be equal to Toji, someone who would be reaching those special grades levels of tiers. This is prevalent as she's able to speed blitz said Mach 3 Neowa, and there's no debunks for special grids being below this level of speed, only support of being actually higher. As we have Hikari being able to dodge a point blank lightning bolt from Kashimo, this level of speed can be consistent as we have essentially a mindless Edo Toji being able to react to lightning, and a true form Maki being able to react to a Maguna Am to Nue lightning with the redraws of chapter 213. With the likes of Maki, Hikari, and even Yuta being stated to be relative to each other by both Kenjaku and Gojo, meaning Maki would somehow scale relative to Hikari's lightning timing feat and Sukuna by proxy, with said feat being calculated between at Mach 945 to Mach 4760, both of which are in the massively hypersonic ranges, with 20 fingers Sukuna being massively above this, which I always say is at least a 5 times difference, which is very generous. As for my reasoning, you have a start of series Megumi just being a grade 2 sorcerer, with a beginning of series Yuji performing relative not greater than said Megumi. With just one of Sukuna's fingers, he able to amp said grade 2 sorcerer to that of a special grade. What's just the difference between the grade 1 to special grades that have a shotgun and a cluster bomb, which is at least several thousands of times of a difference, so saying 5 times is extremely generous, making a 20 finger Sukuna between Mach 4725 to even Mach 23,800. However, Sukuna in his true form is implied to be stronger than the previous, as Kashimo was generally confident in fighting him until he transformed, which he claimed him to be a perfect, beautiful, stronger being. And it was stated that he had a trump card and was holding back against Gojo, which was shown to be confirmed to be his true form. And just assuming he is 2 times stronger, which can be consistent, is a 2 times stronger increase in Jujutsu Kaisen enough to overpower as shown with the true form Mahito. With just going based off his fight with Kashimo, this would stack up. making him between Mach 9,450 to even Mach 47,600, which is sub-relativistic levels of speed. But with the higher ends of Sukuna's speed, Kajima was able to produce electromagnetic waves, with a base Sukuna seemingly able to just dodge it point blankly, with electromagnetic waves being able to move even within an atmosphere a little over 99% the speed of light, with the calculations taking that into consideration with it being at 2.57 times the speed of light, thus making true form Sukuna at least 5.14 times the speed of light, making Sukuna's speed overall between sub-relativistic to even FTL or faster than light levels of speed. With Sukuna's reservoir of abilities, including even the minor such as his fear manipulation and his power nullification with domain amplification, as well as his lightning manipulation with his cursed tool and even resistances to all poison, to his more advanced abilities such as cleave and dismantle, which can not only adapt to the person's durability to negate it, but can even target and attack the soul as it can harm Mahito, which can only be harmed if you can directly attack his soul, as well as resist soul manipulation as resisting his. And when talking about his divine domain expansion, which is an open space with a range of 200 meters, which its guaranteed hit is the cleave and dismantle. As though he has healing with a reverse curse technique, it is implied that he can heal the soul or from his soul with the reverse curse technique, and if Sukuna was at 100%, it was explained that he would have easily been able to adapt to do it. But with Sukuna's most deadliest ability being his World Slash, which allows him to ignore durability completely, as he just cuts the space or existence you are enabling regardless of any fancy ability. Gojo's abilities consist of his red and blue, which is the magnetic and repulsion forces, and then his hollow purple, which is the combination of the two, making it do both properties at once. And mind you, he controls his attacks or curse technique on the atomic level. And then he has his domain expansion, Immeasurable Void, which essentially allows him to dump infinites of information upon you at once. And the information he dumps on you is also shown to be able to affect the soul, giving him a type of soul manipulation as well. And with the natural form of limitless, that being infinity, it's the same as the Achilles and the tortoise paradox, which essentially allows him to create a divergence of space, slowing down his opponent's actions with the process of infinity, thus slowing them down infinitely. However, yes, while this is an automatic function, it is also stated to be based upon Gojo's own brain comprehension, so if you would just perception blitz him, then you would also blitz past infinity. And with his success, he essentially is able to use no curse energy in any of his curse techniques, making him essentially use no energy while using all of his attacks at the maximum power, as well as gaining the information of others' curse techniques just by seeing them in use. And he of course has healing with reverse curse technique. With Madara standing at the pinnacle of the pre-Boruto era as he scales up to the majority of his verse, as even in his weakest as an Edo Tensei, he's not only able to fight a KCM2 Naruto, but he's also going all out while potentially being bloodlusted, as he's okay with mortally wounding Madara as he's already considered undead. Kurama inside the first Naruto databook is stated to have the capability to turn the world to ash. People have contentions with this as world can have many different meanings inside Japanese or just in literature in general. However, with the kanji being used contrary to most belief isn't sekai, but it's also yo, which only means world and society. However, in Buddhist texts, it can mean only world. This is important as Buddhism is heavily prevalent if not based upon inside Naruto, so one can make the case that this is only in reference to the world. Not to mention, disregarding this, if they were talking about reference to society, they would just use the word or drop konoha, as that's the society they would only reference. But instead they go the mile to actually reference or mention the actual world. This planetary Kurama scale is consistent, as even in the fourth data book it's stated that Kurama has earth-shattering power. As well as the third time in the Boruto bonus ninjutsu directory, it's again stated that he has the power to destroy the earth. With three consistent statements of Kurama being able to destroy the world from higher narratives that are supplementary information, it would be disingenuous to say that it's either hyperbolic or just wrong, as there's a clear intention of Kurama's intended power. Not to mention that on screen they just generate explosions that allow us to see the curvature of the planet, with there being no anti-feeds to say that he wouldn't be on this planetary scale. He and Madara by proxy with the aforementioned scaling would be planetary. However, this was Madara at his weakest, while inside his Jubi state his power takes him to an entirely another level. With Jubidar being able to seemingly grow the god tree and its roots across the entire planet and snatch every human being within it, With the insanity of the speed of said feat and the actual feat being taking place, this has been calculated into those large planetary ranges of power very consistently. Supporting this level of power is just with the one Rinnegan Jubi Madara has been able to stay to have power close to that of a prime Hagoromo. Even before he became a 10-tailed Jinchuriki, he was able to create the Naruto moon from the actual planet until it actually reaches the Roche limit. So for the math of this actual feat, as provided by the anime, the entire process of this creation takes 2 minutes and 7 seconds, or 127 seconds. With the moon having a mass of 736 trillion kilograms, and it being a distance of 384 million meters from Earth, using the basic speed formula, that would make the moon travel 3,223,622 meters per second. And with the kinetic energy formula being followed as kinetic energy equals mass over velocity squared. So plugging in those numbers, we see that Hagoromo gets into those large planetary ranges again, with Madara by proxy with the aforementioned scaling, making it very consistent that a Jubi Madara is in those large planetary ranges of power, making Madara a large planetary in his own attack potency. As we've already established, just an Edo Madara scales to KCM2 Naruto, so we must go over the scaling line for speed. As in early part 1, Kakashi is able to react and counter Itachi's Water Fang bullet, which is just stated in the second databook to travel at the speed of light. Now people will try to claim that this is inconsistent as the same Itachi couldn't react to the Kirin, which is just lightning. However, he not only did react and countered it with his Susanoo, but he was also on the verge of dying and going blind. Not to mention that Kirin isn't just the speed of lightning as what some think. As in the second databook, it states that Kirin goes at the speed of light with its attacks, and again inside the second Naruto fanbook it states that Kirin moves at the speed of light. While Zetsu's statement isn't directly in reference to the jutsu, but the fact that he knows how fast lightning is, which he assumed the jutsu was just purely the speed of lightning. He would have no idea of the properties of this jutsu as it was newly made by Sasuke, and the two statements have more precedence than Zetsu as they come from a higher narrative and they fit the context more than Zetsu's own knowledge of lightning in relation to the actual properties of the jutsu. It would be completely illogical and disingenuous to say that lightning timers in Naruto are godly, as we have a Kid Kakashi being able to just outspeed and chop a lightning bolt, as well as shortly after, just to make this point consistent, on the verge of blinding Mangekyo Sharingan is legit able to react to Darui's laser circuits, which is just stated to be rays of light, making it very consistent that shinobi of this caliber would be well beyond the speed of light. Going back to this, Kakashi's feat is calculated upwards of 2.5 times the speed of light. And against Pain, he is using the Raikiri, which is stated to amp 1 speed when used. It's just assuming at 2 times amp, he would be 5 times the speed of light. Even when using his Mangekyo Sharingan, it's completely useless in comparison to Pain. Within the Itachi light novels, it's stated that the Mangekyo makes one several times stronger off from the ordinary Sharingan. Several by definition is a factor of 3 or more, so just assuming 3, Kakashi would be 15 times the speed of light. And just assuming Pain is only 2 times above this, he would be 30 times the speed of light. This can be consistent as just it's stated that both Pain and Seijumo Naruto were in a class of their own, supplementing them as being the strongest shinobi at this time. With KCM2 being Kurama's full power incarnate, we need to know how much stronger it is than Seijumo, which I've always said Seijumo Naruto is at least a 5-tails equivalent. As well, just a base Jiraiya scales to a 4-tails Naruto. With Seijumo, he was just completely stated to surpass Jiraiya in every in his eternity, which is consistent as he showed no worry against a 4-tails Naruto when he popped up, but against Seijumo Naruto he was shown to struggle and decently worried about his fight. As well as the second he decided to become Kurama's chakra mode, he instantly went to a 6-tails from his 4-tails, showing he needed more power than the 4-tails worth and a 5-tails worth. So just going based off the showing, Seijumo is stronger than a 4-tails but weaker than a 6-tails, hence why I would say it's at least a 5-tails equivalent. And for the multiplier, we know that just 1 tails is at 10 times amp, as it's shown to be equal to a curse mark version 2 amp Sasuke, which is consistently stated that said curse mark is a 10 times amp overall. If we just assume that each tail is just an increase of another factor of 10, then KCM2 would be a 90 times amp and Seijumo would be a 50 times amp, making the amp difference between the two a 1.8 times difference, or make both Naruto and Edo Madara 54 times the speed of light. However, when Madara comes back to life with no eyes, he should be at least equal to his Edo self, as he was stated to be gaining his original power back. And to point out, it was stated that this Madara was the strongest villain to date, even stronger than a Jubi Obito who could fight both Naruto and Sasuke at the same time. However, when he gains the Rinnegan, he becomes much stronger, as the Rinnegan is superior or the evolution to that of the Sharingan, with, as we've already established, the Mangekyo is 3 times the regular Sharingan, which we just assume gives a 2 times amp. The Mangekyo would be a 6 times amp, and if we just assume a Rinnegan is 2 times that of that, it would be a 12 times amp overall, making a one-eye Rinnegan Madara 648 times the speed of light. And now for when he absorbs a Jubi and becomes its Jinchuriki. We know it's stated that, as a base, the 10 tails is stated to be many times the power of Kurama. Many by definition is more than several, so at least a 4 times increase. We've already established that Kurama's power can amp 1 by 90 times. However, this statement is in reference to the full Kurama that attacked Konoha, which is the time when half his power wasn't sealed, so he'd have over 2 times the power, making the amp actually can give at his full power 180 of that. And with the Jubi state being 4 times that, he'd be amped by 720 times. Our Jubi Madara of one eye would be 400,000, 66,560 times the speed of light. And again, when he gained the final Rinnegan, he'd be again 12 times stronger, or he would be over 5 million times the speed of light, which is deeply in the massively faster than speed of light ranges of speed. So Madara has a lot of abilities, so I'm just going to go over them quickly, if not I would be generally here for another 4 minutes. To start off, he has Genjutsu, which is activated by making direct eye contact with them. Now typically Genjutsu is used to affect the chakra network system, however Madara can affect Kurama, who's just a tailed beast, which tailed beasts are just pure 10 tails chakra, so they don't have those bodily functions as normal Naruto humans. With chakra being just a combination of both physical, mental, and spiritual energy, meaning he can place illusions on beings who are just completely physical, spiritual, or even mental. On that note, it's stated by Itachi himself that the Madara from his own knowledge has surpassed him in his entirety. This would mean his own mental comprehension in relation to his Genjutsu. This can be consistent as even the likes of Sasuke can break out of his strongest Genjutsu, that being Tsukuyomi. With Itachi not only being able to comprehend and create and make one live out the entire lifespan in just a picosecond, but also can comprehend and process infinity, as he can create infinite clones of himself that just stab you endlessly. With Madara surpassing him, this would give Madara infinite comprehension on a higher level than Itachi. He also has a form of reality manipulation with Izanage at the cost of losing one of his eyes per time, as well as fear manipulation resistance to potentially fear manipulation, as well as Tomiyama can instill fear with his own chakra alone, while Madara seemed to be unaffected by it, and due to him having chakra, he would be able to potentially instill fear with his own chakra upon others. Now, as the 10 tails Jinchuriki, he's immune to all jutsu, which as we've already established is a combination of physical, spiritual, and mental energy. With True Seeking Orbs, he has power nullification and existence erasure on the soul level, as True Seeking Orbs can permanently damage or kill the Edo Tenseis, as shown with the Minato, as when he's sent back to the Pure Lands, his arms are still gone even as a soul, which Edo Tenseis are just souls. As well as resistance to said erasure, as they can just interact with their own True Seeking Orbs. And on that topic, Madara and the 10 tails Jinchurikis all have regeneration, which can still regenerate even after the True Seeking Orbs, which just destroys the soul. This level of regeneration would be considered mid-godly by most, as you're regenerating beyond the destruction of your soul. He has even more reality manipulation with the Yin-Yang release, which governs over both life and imagination to create form from nothingness, as well as supernatural will, as to overcome Kurama one needs extraordinary will of themselves, which as we already established Madara can overpower said Kurama, and even more importantly the lights of Obito can easily do it as well. And when becoming the 10 tails Jinchuriki, he had to mentally struggle to pull himself together to handle said power, while in comparison to Madara he showed no signs of struggling and went about of his plans. With Madara's chakra reserves being deemed immeasurable in comparison to Naruto, who has nigh limitless chakra being stated, this can be consistent. And when the moon is out or potentially creates a self-created one, as he can do so, he would be able to perform the infinite Tsukuyomi, which places everyone inside an infinite dream of their liking, as it's impossible to avoid, as it even affects all living beings regardless if they have chakra network system, as shown by affecting regular animals. And lastly, probably his strongest, most useful ability is his Rinnegan ability, which is the Limbo Border Jail, which he creates 4 clones of himself that are equal to him in its entirety, which are completely invisible and unperceivable or detectable on every level, as they are on an adjacent dimension, meaning one cannot perceive them unless they're able to perceive or sense different dimensional beings, or if you have a Rinnegan or special 6-path sensing capabilities. After going over both respective party stats, and if I'm being completely honest, if we use Sukuna and Gojo's consistent ends, they are barely making it past Hidan and Kakuzu levels of power. If we were to use the higher ends for them, they would be only on Madara's at his weakest, that means Edo Tensei. With speed not even in a contest, that just instantly goes to any version of Madara. Something as I already established is that you can bypass Infinity by just perception blitzing Gojo, which Madara would be able to do so. However, if you're not a fan of that interpretation, Madara would simply just be able to use his Limbo clones to just slam Gojo and just pop him. As Gojo can only deter curse energy or threats that are of the atomic level or something that he can already perceive. With Limbo being on an entirely different dimensional plane, it would be absolutely impossible for him to guard against it. And even if Sukuna's world slash hit Madara and did some damage by some means, he would just instantly regenerate from it. As well, Sukuna can attack the soul, he cannot destroy it, which Madara can regenerate from the destruction of his. Even if you equalize their stats, Madara can just jump them with 4 invisible versions of himself equal to him, and start erasing them from existence with truth-seeking orbs. And by some chance if he gets caught in either of their domains, it both doesn't matter, as he would just tank or regenerate from Sukuna's, and his established Madara can already tank infinites of information, so immeasurable void is a non-factor in this. Overall, Madara just slams either way you cut it, and that's all y'all. Catch you on the next one.